Here's the multi-edius bin screen, and as you can see I've got quite a few bins up there with random footage in them. So if I click on a different bin, you see another load of pictures, and I've noted the numbers of each clip and the bin that they're in, and I've put those numbers of bin numbers on bits of paper in the lottery box. Here's the lottery box. Obviously the bits of paper were folded in half when I did this because I didn't want to cheat, but pulled them out, opened them up, and then promptly dropped whatever clip the lottery had picked onto the timeline. Before assembling on the timeline, I'd taken each clip, put it in the player bin up here, and found an in and an out point on it where there was a usable bit of material. On this one it's just stationary there. That was something that was shot in Sutton Park several years ago. Here's the second clip in the sequence. It's got the boiler in it. There it is on the playback screen. I'll play it through. It pulls wide. As you can see, it's only a tiny portion of the whole clip, which goes on for miles, but that was the only useful bit. The rest seemed to be my treasures as I walked around the site. So how do I choose suitable in and out points on a clip before I even attempt to enter it into a timeline? Well, there are natural in and out points, places where you just feel you should cut. Here's that urn clip again. Let's think about how we mark in and out points. Down here is the timeline for just the clip, and if I press play there, the clip will play. There we go. Stop it. I'll go back to the beginning, play from before I chose an in point. Could join it there. Oh, it zooms in and there's a hand, and then it comes out. And you could take the zoom in or the zoom out, but best not to take both. If you record a zoom, it's really two shots joined together. The first picture before the zoom and the end picture after the zoom. And the best thing if you're going to use a zoom is to shoot maybe 8 seconds on the beginning position and 8 seconds on the end position, and then when you find the zoom doesn't fit into the edit, you could use the two 8-second stills as still frames and cut them to any length you like. But if you incorporate the zoom, then you're really stuck with its duration. If you have to use part of the zoom, use the end part so that you join the zoom with the camera moving or the lens zooming or whatever, but the picture then resolves into the still at the end. You don't want to start on a still picture and then just set off on a zoom and crash out of it. That's not the way your mind and eye see the world. Sometimes something will attract your attention and you'll look towards it and see it. And entering the zoom and then coming to the still shot at the end mimics that. So it's much more natural than jumping out of a moving shot. So to return to the screen, if I go back to the beginning, play into it to where the zoom is established, stop it there. Now, I could mark that as an in point, which I'll do with this little marker here. And I'll play through it to the end, and when the end shot is established, I'll hit stop. Now that will play as a clip quite nicely. If I play, this will play just what I've marked repeatedly. So that's what I've got. It's quite good, really. It does a little stumble at the beginning, I think. Let's inch through that. I can go through frame by frame on the keyboard, as I believe I've mentioned before. So let's inch into the start of the shot. Now the hand moves quite quickly. I'll go back a little bit more, see if there's any more on the top. There we go, coming in forwards. Now it's stationary. That would be quite a good place to mark an in. Always best to mark when the camera is actually stopped if it's jigging about. If I play from there, does it look good? Yeah, that's all right. And then you can come out. And that's roughly what I did for this shot. Let's look at some others. Here's that odd shot that ended up on the Contemporary Art Gallery down by the canal. And as you can see, it's got a long timeline. It's 40 seconds long. And what I marked is a very short bit near the end. Let's look at the rest of this. We'll spin through it. What is useful? Well, there's a move up to the name there. There's not a zoom into that, there's just a bigger jump into it, so we can go up like that and hold on it, or we can go to the area where it finally got used, which was up from the water to the name. You're trying to illustrate something, and the way to do it is to lead the eye to what you want the viewer to see. So lead the eye to that. That's now become a shot about the name of the Contemporary Art Gallery. In the bin we find shot number 163. It's just a tree. When we get it in the player monitor, you can see that it's a man running through the trees. Now I wanted him to just appear and be running because the shot's not very long. You haven't got much time to think about where he is. Let's play a frame at a time down to where we might think of. We want the camera, oh no, that's not good, is it? You see the camera attempts to follow. I'm going backwards now. Now I'm going forwards. The camera attempts to follow him. Then I think again, move the camera back, and then I start following him. Well, so if we chose an in point where he first appeared, I'll mark that as an in point, and then I'll loop play the in to the out. So the beginning of that is a bit ragged. Off he goes. So see the tree jerks across the shot. So let's go back to the in point again. There are buttons to do all these things. So let's go back, go forward, camera stops, tree stops, see? Now the tree starts to go off to the left and we're looking at the man. So that is a better in point. We'll mark it and we'll loop play again. So the loop play just means playing from the in point that I've marked to the out point repeatedly. There he is, going on his way. He's slowing down, isn't he? So now we're picking him up as he's running. There's no jerking about, it's a steady movement. The end is not right either. I mean, with the tree appears, it shouldn't do that, should it? So let's go to the out point. Let's see. So that's not any kind of shot, is it really? That's just mad. So let's inch backwards to where the tree is just there. If we go too close to the tree, also he's noticeably slowing much more. So we want it to seem like we're in the middle of a continuous action. So now we'll mark that as an out point. You see what I'm doing that down there? That's an out marker. Now I can play the loop again, and he now is running steadily the whole time. So I did that sort of thing to all the clips, and then I dropped the clips onto the timeline. So to illustrate the process, here's a brand new empty timeline to play with, and the cursor is sitting at 5 seconds, and there's a clip up there with an in and an out marked. So if I go to the overwrite button and press it, that clip has now dropped down onto the timeline. There it is, and the cursor has now moved to its out point. Let's pick another clip just at random. I mean, let's face it, everything's at random, isn't it? I'll just pick another clip, that one there, double click it. It's got an in and an out marked, and now while you watch the timeline, I'll press the overwrite button and it's popped down onto the timeline. Now if I take the cursor there and play, you see the first clip and the second clip. I'd got about 50 clips selected, but I only needed about 25 to fill the timeline. So when I'd got enough, I applied the music. The music I used is from the AKM material that the club has, and the one I chose is called Limitless. So let's play this from the start, see what we get. Now, you'll notice that things fit the music quite well. That's because, to start with, they didn't, but as I played, I noticed things that would match points in the music. So if I start from the beginning, you'll see that the cuts occur on the different phrases of the music. You see the music below, it goes loud there, it does something else there, and I make the pictures mimic it in some way. So I'll play from the top again. Cut there. You can see them coming out. It's like a dance. The other thing you do is instead of just cutting on the beat, you can make something happen in the picture on the beat, or in accordance with something in the music. I dropped the cat in looking up, and then I realised that it was quite close to something in the music that could cause it to look up. So now you see the cat reacts to that start. That's what the cat supposedly hears and looks up. So here let's watch it again. You see if you get the idea. I love doing things like this. Just seems like a reaction, doesn't it? the music's very grand and it sort of has authority, and when you hear it you seem to think this means something, don't you? The shots were truly random, but they were tinkered with to make them cut together, making the joins match. They were shifted along the timeline to make them sit on particular bits of the music, like the cat looking up in response. And because everything works fairly smoothly, you really think that it means something. And of course, as you know, it doesn't, unless you saw something in it that's more convincing than it was to me. And it's all a matter of confidence when you put it together. And if you make it look authoritative and good, and you make it sound right, and you make the edits appear to be clean, people, if they don't understand it, will think they've missed something and that the meaning must be there. Deceptive people, editors.